In the 12th chapter of the Gospel according to St. Matthew, there is an incident and words of Christ that have often been deliberately misinterpreted. The Mother of God seeks to be with Christ, but she can't reach him because of the crowd. And when Jesus is told, he says, "Who is my mother?" And he indicates the crowd and says, "These are my brothers and sisters." Sain Gregory the Great, who was writing in the late 500s, says to us, at this moment Jesus is making it clear that his brothers and sisters are those who have a spiritual affinity with him, who are obedient to him. It isn't simply through birth in the flesh. St. Gregory says Jesus is telling us that it is everyone who repents and seeks to be with Christ that are his brothers and sisters. It isn't simply through being born Jewish. The Jews, St. Gregory says, had turned the law into an outward observance. They had lost the spiritual nature of the law. And we too can do the same. We too can turn our fasting and our faith, our prayer and our worship simply into outward observances. But St. Gregory says it must burn within us. It must affect us. It must change us. St. Gregory reminds us that this incident has been used to kind of reduce the standing of the Mother of God, to somehow suggest that Jesus was not recognizing her as truly his mother. But in fact, she alone worshipped Christ both as Lord and the actual Son of her own flesh. And she suffered a form of martyrdom to see him die on a cross, the one she loved so dearly. And St. Gregory reminds us that every one of us, if we wish to be the brothers and sisters of Christ, we too must suffer a form of martyrdom. May not be particularly with a blade at our neck, but some part of us must be put to death. The old self, the carnal man within us, the selfish, worldly aspects of ourselves must be put to death. It is a form of martyrdom to give up the will, our self-willed nature. But St. Gregory goes further. He says it isn't just to become brothers and sisters of Christ, but we become almost mothers of Christ too, not in the sense of the Theotokos, who is uniquely Mother of God. But St. Gregory says whenever we preach Christ, whenever we witness to Christ, and the love of Christ is made present in the heart of our neighbours and friends and family, then we are a mother to Christ in this world. He comes again in this world through us, through our words and our actions. But St. Gregory gives us a warning. He says it isn't enough to base our sense of being brothers in Christ in some form of encounter with God. Many people will have an encounter with God and they will leave it at that. They will be satisfied. But St. Gregory says we must thirst, yes, for the very presence of God, but also for the goodness of God. Unless we seek the goodness of God and we seek to change and make this fire burn within us, then he says these encounters will be nothing more than an illusion that will not save us. St. Gregory says to us, our faith, our desire for God must be rooted in repentance.